Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. I am Van, and we are all the LFR family. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of time to get in here, hit the like button, get situated, get yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, get yourself one of them horse do-overs, or as they say, hors d'oeuvres. Get you an hors d'oeuvre, one of them little um, tiny hot dogs with a stick. All right, get you one of those before we started, before we get started, and just make sure y'all hit the like button and share this bad boy. We got a couple of topics that I want to discuss today, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the fact that we are being more open with our conversation with regard to politics. But something that's happening is, and something that I really don't like, is that we are staying true to our corners and our circles and our positions without being objective, without listening to the other side. So sometimes what I like to do is listen to the other side and try to I want to hear some sense being made on the opposite side. And you know what? If it makes some sense, by all means, you have at it. But I've come across a couple of things lately that I am questioning. But first, let me go ahead and shout out my people who are pulling up. What's up, Shay Brown? What's up, Jared Dupree, the troublemaker? How you doing, big dog? Me and the family are great. How are you and the family, man? Make sure y'all share this bad boy with as many people as you possibly can and let them know that Van and the LFR family are live streaming right now. Share this on X. Share this on Facebook, especially. Go down to where you see the share button. Go down to where you see the share button right below this video, and click that. Copy the link and share it to all of your social media network. I mean, social media platforms that you're on. That would be greatly appreciated. The only price of admission for my live streams is to hit that like button, man. That's it. Just to let YouTube know that we're doing something productive and we're doing something right. Before we move forward, I want to make sure I show love to the people who show love to me on a daily basis, and that is my people inside of the comments section. So again, Jared Dupree, Shay Brown, what's going on? Burger Pops, Wagwan, Diane Hall. You have the same exact name as my guardian, my lovely, amazing guardian, Diane. Much love to you. So you know I got extra love for Diane Hall. Doris McGill, shop hat inside of your profile picture. I love that hat. I am number 2 in the likes from South Carolina. Much love to you. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I'm number 2 in the likes. The number, you know who number 1? I hit the I hit the like button first. So you're right after me. That's something I like to start it off. You know what I mean? What's up, Teresa? Donald Hop? What's going on, Next Generation? Brian Harkin, Lisa Marie. Thank you so much for pulling up per usual. That's my homie right there. One of the biggest contributors and supporters of the channel. Much love to you. Galatians 2:20, your question. Absolutely nope. I can't choose one. I can't choose one or the other of your question box. Too much colorful language. But nah. Sorry about the cussing inside it. Yes, I do actually. In the hell nah, GTFOH. You know what I mean? That is colorful, but you know what I mean? I'm colorful. And if you got a problem with my color, that makes you racist. I no, I don't. But much love to you all, man. I'm not here to lean in heavily um on conservative talking points. So please don't think that you're going to get that from my channel. What you're going to get is honesty. If I hear somebody on the left say something that makes sense to me, I will agree with it, because that's the type of person that we need to be listening to. Somebody that's not just going to lean heavily on one side simply because their fan base or their supporters are on that side. Nah, that's not me at all. I might piss you off with some things that I believe. Why? Because I voted blue no matter who all my life. All my life. I can't remember a time where I voted Republican, but I've been registered Republican for the last, Jesus, about 12 years. But I've only been registered Republican because when I went to go renew my license one time, I thought it would be cool to be a Trojan horse for the Democrats. You know what I mean? Be able to sneak up in there as a Republican. They think I'm a Republican, and then vote Democrat, and then shake everything up. But since I've been on this journey on YouTube, I've been realizing some things that have been really messing my mind up. And it's been how I've been voting all my life. all my life. So the people that I've been voting for have not been very good to the people that I've been loving all my life, and that's the Black community, for real. I'm just now being introduced to the white community, for real, other than the workforce. But as far as your cultures, as far as what you like, your music, your politics, all that other stuff, I had no concern about it at all because I was not friends or in any type of relationship with people who did not look like me. Just keeping it a buck. And that's the thing you need to understand too with regard to this country. Some people don't understand what you go through. All right. If you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or other, a lot of people don't understand what you and your culture goes through. So that's why these conversations are important. All right. All right. So I ain't going to waste no more time. Let me just go ahead and say thank you again to everybody who showed up. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. And also, shout out to everyone who have been hitting me up with the word coach for their YouTube channels, because I have been coaching people and we've been doing some amazing things. And I got some people that you know and love who are going to join the fold and start teaching and start, communicating with some of my clients and other people and showing them some ways to grow their channel and grow their brand on YouTube. And you are going to be surprised. I would love for you to reach out to me with the word coach if you want to learn how to grow on YouTube. And I've noticed something. I actually teach a way to grow fast and to have fun on YouTube. I teach that. Like, I show people that on a daily basis, So if you want to grow on YouTube, or if you know someone who wants to grow on YouTube, say your kids, your aunts, your uncles, your nieces, nephews, it does not matter. Tell them to reach out to me. Also, if you're over the age of 40, this is the time for you to start your YouTube channel. Why? Because your life experience needs to be heard over the airways. These young people, they've never experienced the time without cell phones. They've never experienced the time with VHS tapes or CDs, or DVDs. So a lot of times we need to make sure that we put our story out there. We let them know why we value life so much, why we value the constitutional republic so much, why we value, why we have the values we have. And it will be based off of our living, our experiences, and those type of things. And these young people need to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So if you want to figure this thing out, reach out to me so we can get it popping. And the information is right below. van.hall at LFRFamily.com. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to have some fun. All right, let's get to it, guys. Go ahead and mix this bad boy up. Let's go.
He's a media mogul, a best-selling author and star host of The Breakfast Club, self-styled as the most dangerous morning show in the world. And having been on it, I can confirm it is pretty dangerous. In a world of spin and nonsense, Charlamagne the God deals in straight-talking facts. And his new book, Get Honest or Die Lying, is billed as an antidote to small talk from small minds. So once again, Charlamagne the God is uncensored. Charlamagne, great to see you.
And just so y'all know, Charlamagne the God, he has a different way of thinking, obviously, because he's a Black man, New York radio station. He's been in the hip hop community for a long time. His biggest fan base are Black Democrats and liberals. So keep that in mind. Also, he has a book that he's promoting. So he's doing a tour. He's on everybody's news channel talking about the same exact thing, same talking points, everything. He's been on the View and everything. And a lot of you don't like him. Okay, that's cool. We're not supposed to like everybody, but at the end of the day, he's going to point out some things that's true, that's near and dear to him, and he's going to talk about Trump. And I want y'all to really listen to what he's saying, because what he's saying, don't take it as something personal that's coming from him. Take it as a point of view that comes to him from the community that support him, and he is doing nothing but being a mouthpiece for them, if that makes any sense. He's a representative of the people who support him. So when you hear him say certain things, remember that part. All right.
Piers, what's up, man? Good to see you again, too, man.
Look at that. Look how he threw that book up.
I love an early plug. I love it being bold.
Little shameless self-promotion. You know, got to do that on a big platform like yours.
Well, you know me. I'm all in for shameless self-promotion. And what I loved about the book, it said it critiques the prevalence of superficial conversations and advocates for deeper, more meaningful dialogues to address societal divisions and personal unhappiness. Because I totally agree with you. I think social media has made everyone talk and think and debate in sound bites. We've lost that ability to do what I did with you when I came on your brilliant breakfast show in New York. We just had time. You know, we had a 90-minute conversation. We could talk about stuff with nuance, with layers. And it seems that we've lost that ability. People have kind of forgotten how to have longer conversation.
Yeah, not only have we lost that ability, we're putting everything on the same scale. And, you know, when I talk about small talk, I'm saying how we take a lot of these, you know, minor issues and we make them these big macro issues. We take these small things and make them, you know, big things. So when the actual big things come across our desk, or, you know, the big things are up for discussion, we don't even know how to talk about them, if we talk about them at all, because everything is literally on the same scale. So things that are small are held to the same level of, you know, validity as, you know, things that are big.
One thing I was struck by, I watched you do an interview with CNN, I think, a few days ago, and I could see that you were kind of irritated by constantly being kind of, I guess in your eyes, wheeled out as a spokesman for all black people in America because of your great influence from the show and so on. I totally got that. It's like, why should your skin color dictate whether you're booked to do an interview to talk about society or issues or whatever? Tell me a little bit more about how that makes you feel when you feel that way.
Well, let me tell you something. It shouldn't make him feel any type of way. When you put yourself out there to be the voice of the people, and he did, he intentionally put himself out there to be the voice of the people, then it's kind of ridiculous to take offense to that when people consider you as the voice of the people that you claim to represent. So why do y'all keep on putting me out here as the voice of black people? Well, you keep on putting yourself out there as the voice of black people, which you are not. Just want to put that out there too. He is not the voice of black people, but as I said before, he is the mouthpiece for the people who support him the most. And when they're constantly feeding him with their concerns and their thoughts, and some of them might be idiotic, because a lot of people who are feeding them their concerns and their thoughts, they're coming from their own periphery and their own walk of life, but they're not paying attention to the wholeness of, to the fullness thereof when it comes to how far and wide these political conversations can go. And they're not very well versed on laws, on bills that have been passed, on what their politicians they support the most represent. They're not very knowledgeable. So now the onus is on Charlamagne to teach them. But unfortunately, he don't teach them. What he do, he repeat the same idiotic talking points that come from the media source that he received his information from, which is usually on the left.
Well, you're a good reader of people. You know, because that's exactly how I felt in that moment. Because I'm like, you know, black people.
I love you too, hippie. That's so nice for you to say. I see y'all are so nice. Y'all are sweet. Y'all are sweet. What's going on, Angel? Much love to my blues.
People are not monolithic. And, you know, when you bring me on a show and ask me what all black people think, I could not tell you. I could only tell you, you know, what I think. And it's a little frustrating, too, because, you know, in America, you know, they keep asking about the black vote in regards to Biden. But when you look at the polls, you know, he's losing the young vote. He's losing the Latino vote. Like, there's a lot of people that are down on Biden right now. So I don't understand why it keeps coming back to a black thing.
It's a black thing because a lot of black people will blindly vote for these politicians without knowing what the hell they're voting for. So that's why it's a black thing. I mean, it's not very difficult to figure that part out. And make sure you guys are hitting the like button. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And hit the share button below. Get that link and paste it on your X, on your Facebook or something, just to let people know that we're live. All right, let's go.
I completely agree. And it must be, I was trying to think what it'd be like if I get booked only to talk about issues about white people. How very quickly, how annoying I would find that. And so I get it. That isn't going to happen because it doesn't happen to white people that way. But it's an interesting, thing to actually see that you were kind of bristling. I watched it. I thought, yeah, I get that. I get it.
There's a guy here in America, man. His name is Tim Ryan. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I know Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tim has this phrase called the exhausted majority.
Yeah.
And he said most people in America are the exhausted majority. So I don't care whether I'm black, I don't care whether I'm white, Democrat, Republican. Most people are just exhausted at what's happening in our political system right now. And I represent one of them.
Hey, shout out to the 1619 shirt that he has on, bro. What about 1619? Hold on, let me pull that bad boy up. That came from one of our favorite videos that we have. Make sure y'all go and check it out. I covered a black man going to a Trump rally for the very first time. And that brother, that was hilarious. Make sure y'all go and go to LFR Family, put in black man's first time at a rally. And at a Trump rally, and you'll see for yourself. The brother was like, "What about 1619?" And yeah, so he has on one of them shirts right now. And so far, that's the only thing I like about his presentation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely not alone. And let's talk, immediately about what happened in the last week. It is, listen, I'm in the UK at the moment. Across the pond, there's a kind of wonderment and shock about what is happening to the great superpower of the world when you have one candidate who can barely string a sentence together and the other candidate facing all these criminal indictments and actually being convicted now of being a felon. And putting aside the debate about whether that is fair or not fair, and I'll come to that with you, but just the fact that these are the two candidates that America has to choose from in November seems staggering to people.
Yeah. It seems staggering to people because no one wants to accept the truth. And the truth is, the truth is the guy that has been considered the racist, the guy who has been considered ignorant, the guy who has been considered separationalist, he is the one that makes more sense now. He's making more sense than anybody, to the point where Joe Biden is starting to, he want to put forth certain laws that Trump wanted to put forth with regard to the immigration, because he see that whatever he's been doing over the last 4 years has not been working. But we already know that when Trump put those laws ahead first, people were calling him racist. They was calling him all types of names. When, in all actuality, all he was doing was trying to protect our country and keep as many illegal people on the other side of the border until we figure things out the way we're supposed to. We want to know who they are. We want to run some checks on them. We want to make sure that they go through everything they need to go through in order to get that asylum that they seek.
Yeah, and I represent the 1 in 4 Americans who have unfavorable views about both of them. So it's like, when you see me on a show like The View and I say something like, yo, both of these candidates are trash, I truly mean that. One of them, like, has all of these criminal charges. One of them led an attempted coup of this country. One of them said we need to terminate, the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. That was to overturn the results of an election. That was Donald Trump. And then, the other one is just uninspiring. The other one can't even deliver, the proper messaging about the things, that him and his administration have done. And, we spend so much time here in America talking about how bad Trump is, especially the left media. They talk about how bad Trump is, and they're always on their social media and on their platforms talking about how bad he is, but they're never talking about the things that they say President Biden has done. And then they wonder why people ask those questions. They wonder why people say, well, what has Joe Biden done? What is Kamala Harris doing? We would know if more of y'all would spend more time telling us about them as opposed to just talking, telling us how bad Trump is.
I totally agree. Again, because there's a kind of...
Come on, Piers. Piers, you got to challenge him, bro. The only reason why I'm doing this video, the only reason why I'm having this, I'm showing this conversation on my live stream is because usually Piers Morgan would challenge people. He need to challenge him. Because right now, he just now let him slide by naming all of these things that are considered to be bad qualities from Trump. But then when it was his turn to talk about Biden, he said he was uninspiring. What the hell? He can't deliver a speech. What the hell? What about the crime bill, bro? What about illegal immigration, man? What about our current economic state? What about all of the wars that have been taking place under his administration? What about that? You're not going to say anything about that? Every time I talk, I say that both of them are trash. Bro, you're only talking negatively about one of them. You're not saying anything about the other. So you're not one of the objective centrists that you say that you are. And I don't understand why he won't hold him to account for that.
This Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. I see it in people where they're so fixated in hating Trump and everything about him and doing it 24/7. They forget that there's a country currently being run by Democrats who are making decisions that are directly impacting on people's lives. I thought it was interesting with dynamic. You mentioned The View. I want to play a clip. This is where effectively the hosts try and bully you to endorse Biden. Take a look.
I've seen y'all do this on The View before. I saw y'all do this to Killer Mike when he was on The View, and Killer Mike literally sat here and said, hey, I supported Keisha Lance Bottoms. I supported Ralph Warnock. I supported John Ossoff, right, in Georgia. And he said, you should support the people that I've supported. You should support the person who the people I've supported are supporting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's y'all opportunity to say, well, clearly he's talking about President Biden. Why do y'all need us to say this if we don't feel comfortable saying it?
No, it's not that we need you to say it, but I think other folks need to hear, because, one of the things I'm sorry, jumped you, I'm sorry, but one of the things that we've been talking about is the fact that getting facts out through the media seems to be very difficult.
I feel like I just spewed some facts.
Yeah.
Yes, but we need you to do it on your show.
Well, the reality is I think both candidates are trash. So but I am going to vote in November, and I'm going to vote my best interest, and I'm going to vote who I think, can preserve democracy. So if I think both candidates are trash and I don't feel like, endorsing one, would you rather me endorse an individual or endorse the fact that, hey, we need to go out here and protect democracy?
What was fascinating, Charlamagne, was their stunned reaction. They couldn't really deal with this. It was a kind of presumption by them that you would vote for Biden. And when you said, actually, I think both candidates are trash.
Doris, I got your email. I just now checked. I got your email. I'm going to be reaching out to you right after this live stream. All right. And thank you so much, guys. As far as him getting on The View and saying what he just now said, that was BS, man. That was BS. I'm going to be 1,000% with y'all, because yes, they was trying to get him to say emphatically who he supports and who he votes for. Well, he says that in his posturing. He says that by how he represents himself on a daily basis. He says that in his book. He says that by showing up to The View and sitting in the middle and them feeling safe enough to say that to him. No. We need this. We need for you to say this on your show. We need to get the facts out there. Well, if the facts is what y'all need, maybe the facts is what you should give. You know what I mean? You get what you give, right? So if they were giving the facts, maybe they would get the facts. But right now, they're not giving the facts. They're giving their opinions. They're coming off emotional with regard to who they want to win and who they want to lose. Simple and plain. Simple and plain. You want to... Every single time a black person represents conservatism, and I'm going to show y'all a conversation between Abby from CNN and Byron Donalds right after this, because y'all need to see this right here. Anytime a black person represents conservatism, they're considered to be a sellout or a coon or any of those other words. If you ask me, anybody who overlook what Biden has done and how idiotic he has been, and how detrimental his own political career has been to the black community, you are the coon. You are the sellout, in my opinion, because you're ignoring it. And the fact that The View ignore it and they walk through it with blinders on their eyes, while at the same time trying to encourage and inspire Charlamagne the God to go into Breakfast Club and talk about how he supports Biden on a daily basis, that's BS. He don't want to do what y'all do. You all have sold your souls completely. Have he sold his completely? He probably sold like 3/4 of it. I don't know. I'm not in position to judge it, but at the end of the day, from what I'm seeing, all of y'all are trash, bro.
They were so shocked. They didn't know what to say. And I've watched The View a few times, and it's so ridiculously partisan now. I watched Joy Behar reacting to the Trump conviction and saying she actually got a leak, she said, and tittered away. And I was like, wow. What part of you thinks that is a smart way to deal with what is going on right now? to look like you're so partisan, so overexcited by anything that's damaging to Trump, that you lose all kind of reasonable ability to assess and analyze the big picture about American politics and where the country is.
Yeah, and I don't like the assumption that, just because I don't want to endorse, means I'm not voting. And
right.
It goes back to what I keep saying about the left really does not know how to push narratives in any way, shape, or form. Because I was on CNN this weekend, and I literally was talking about a chapter in my book called "The Language of Politics is Dead," and I give credit to Donald Trump for killing the language of politics. Like, he's made it to where politicians, they don't have to be perfect. They don't always have to say the right thing. And they can actually say what they truly feel if they choose to. Fox News, I was on CNN, Fox News took that clip and their headline was, Charlamagne the God praises Donald Trump for killing the language of politics. That's just them pushing the narrative that they want to push. I didn't praise him.
In a way, I understand why they did that, because in a way you're kind of praising him. What you're acknowledging is that Trump's appeal, and I don't want to speak for you can tell me, but it seems to me what you were saying was Trump's appeal comes from the fact he's a straight talker. You may not like what he's saying, but he sounds authentic, and he doesn't sound like a normal, robotic, pre-planned, pre-rehearsed politician.
Oh, I say it all the time. I said that, somebody like Donald Trump and a lot of conservatives in general, especially the MAGA ones, they are more sincere about their lies than Democrats are about their truth. So you can hear a conservative say something that is not true, but it'll sound sincere. And you can hear a Democrat say something that possibly is true, but they don't sound like, they don't sound sincere about it in any way, shape, or form.
Did you feel...
Challenge him, Piers, bro. Come on, man. We love your show over here, man. But challenge him. You're so stuck on your daggone questions that you're asking, and you're a phenomenal interviewer. I'm not telling you how to do your job. That's why you're so successful. But come on, when you have an opportunity to challenge somebody who is this far left leaning or far right leaning, whatever the case may be, if you want an honest conversation, bro, it's up to you. You're the host. This is going to be one of those soft belly, soft interviews where he's not going to feel challenged. He's up there chilling, and everything he say, you just like, the dude just now said, nowadays you hear when conservatives speak, they might be saying something false, but they're saying it in a way that you think is true because they have so much passion with them. But liberals, they're saying it in a way, they're saying something that's true, but they're saying it in a way that you think is a lie. Come on, bro. You just now let him tell you that conservatives lie and liberals tell the truth. It's just how they sound, their appeal. You're letting them off the hook, bro. I'm not trying to ask Piers to change the way that he communicate with people. I'm just saying that with the platform you have, the reach you have, bruh, be honest with him. You know how you feel about it, but I get it. He wants to get through that list that's on his desk. He want to make sure I ask him all of these questions because these are some good questions, and they're going to create their own whatever they create. You weren't fully there in this conversation, bro. I'm just letting you know that.
The Donald Trump conviction was a good moment for America.
I mean, listen, man, we say nobody is above the law, right? So, I mean, if charges are brought up against somebody and, they go through their due process, they go to court and they're found guilty, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing because nobody is, above the law. But what I think is going to happen now is you're going to see a lot of tit for tat.
Of course.
Now that they've made it to where I can totally see them doing political, retaliation in the courts. If I'm not mistaken, Hunter Biden's, the jury selection begins in his trial today. So how do you know Hunter Biden is going to get a fair trial? We just had Governor Josh Shapiro here, and he told us that he sued Donald Trump 43 times, and in return, Donald Trump sued the state of Pennsylvania 43 times. So, I mean, that's just, I don't want to see that in our political system. I don't want to see people just, weaponizing the courts and, weaponizing the justice system and just, going after each other. But I think that's what you're going to see. Trump gets back in the White House.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with it is I agree no one should be above the law, but nor should the law be twisted to just go after one person like Trump. I mean, there's no other businessman in New York who would have had what was a state misdemeanor offense at worst upgraded to a felony in the way that Alvin Bragg did, because he's politically motivated in most people's estimation. I think he is. He's a Democrat. He make no bones of it. He wanted to take down Donald Trump. But by escalating a state misdemeanor to a felony in the way that he did, he wasn't actually treating Trump fairly in the way that the law would normally treat someone. So I think in a way, it's not that Trump felt he was above the law. If he was just entitled to the same treatment in US law as every other business guy in New York, he would not have had to face felony charges. That's the reality. It got twisted and morphed up to be something a lot more serious than it actually was. In the end, he had a fling with a porn star nearly 20 years ago, one night stand, which he denies, but I think it's pretty clear he did. And here we are 20 years later, and he's running for president, in 2016, and he wants to hide this information like a lot of famous people do when people make allegations about them, and he pays her off. And then because he shovels a bit of paperwork in his business, suddenly he's now facing imprisonment. And I just felt
we know he's not going to see no prison, but I mean, we can't just, if it's illegal, it's illegal, Piers.
Come on, bruh. Come on, man. If it's illegal, it's illegal. Come on, bro. All right, Charlamagne, bro. Come on, man. We get what side you represent, but come on, bro. I get it. Like you're trying to act like I'm independent. I don't choose anybody because everybody trash. Yeah, that's just the way to say I have no responsibility over my decision, my public decision making. You don't want anybody to hold you to account, but we already know what's going on. Come on, bro. If it's illegal, it's illegal. If it's illegal, it's illegal. Well, it was illegal when Joe Biden fought for that crime bill and said that anybody, even users of crack cocaine, caught with a baggie, caught with a rock this big, somebody go and cop one and try to hurry up and go in their corner and smoke it because they're stressed out over life or they just don't value themselves or whatever the case may be. And they're caught with that bag and they're caught with that rock cocaine and they're locked up as if they're outside selling. And they get 5 years guaranteed for that, right? Do you know how many families were negatively impacted by that? If it's illegal, it's illegal. It was illegal for them to go buy that crack and then locked up for 5 years. So you're saying that was cool? The crime bill is cool. If it's illegal, it's illegal. Do you know how irresponsible that is? Like if you can put the judges in place, put the juror in place, make sure that the trial is being had in a city that hates the person, is being had by all these different attorneys who have publicly expressed their disdain for the person that they're putting these crimes against. And they're running off of burying him. Like they're saying that if you vote for me, I'm going to get rid of Trump. I'm going to lock him up. I'm going to do this. And those are the people. That's not a fair trial, bro. If it's illegal, it's illegal. We can't be that chill about it. We need to understand that if it can happen to one of us, it can happen to all of us. All right? If it's illegal, it's illegal. What about George Floyd? It was illegal for him to spend that fake dollar bill, that fake $20 bill inside that store. It was illegal for him not to listen to the police when they was trying to search him, when they was trying to arrest him, when he was going up against the police. If it's illegal, it's illegal. I didn't hear Black Lives Matter saying that when y'all was out there stomping for him. If it's illegal, now y'all want to put a whole daggone march around him, and you want to act like he's the next Malcolm X or something like that when he is not. God rest his soul. But if it's illegal, it's illegal. Should go across the board. Clearly, he's been disingenuous right now, man.
And if you get caught, then you got to deal with the consequences of those actions. I'm not.
Yeah, but should an American president? Yeah, but so my point is this. If they were taking an American president to court over an illegal drone program that killed thousands of innocent people, if they were doing it over major corruption involving government funds that were being funneled to a president and his family, something of that order, then okay, I get it, right? But to do it to Trump over a payment which at $150,000 was about a fifth or a quarter of a fifth of the amount that Bill Clinton paid to pay off Paula Jones, who accused him of sexual harassment. And he was president at the time, unlike Trump. And yet Bill Clinton never got dragged through criminal courts because he didn't shuffle a bit of paperwork to pay it. So yeah, technically it was a crime. I don't think anyone disputes that the jury made the right decision when they had to
Thank you so much,
adjudicate
Brian.
on this. But
Appreciate
my
it,
question
brother.
is, should this ever have come to court? Some of the other cases that Trump's involved with are infinitely more serious. You know, his involvement in January 6th, you know, the documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago and shuffled around, the Georgia phone call and so on. They're all more serious. But to take a president of the United States through the criminal court in election year, depriving him of his right to campaign, all I thought was, whatever happens here, Trump tried stolen election last time wrongly, without any evidence. But this time he's going to have a very good case. If he loses this election by a marginal amount, which is quite likely one of the wins or loses by a marginal amount, he's just going to say this got stolen all over again. By putting me through the courts for 2 months, preventing me from campaigning over a stupid little story involving a fling 20 years ago, they have stopped me winning the election. And he'd ever, actually, I think probably a lot more people agreeing with him than he did last time.
Yeah, he was going to say that regardless. I don't know how much sympathy he's going to get, though, because, you know, when you are a powerful person, when you've been a person who's been as wealthy as long as Donald Trump, you know, a lot of everyday people aren't going to feel sorry for you, because there's everyday people who get, you know, jammed up in the justice system and get, you know, sentenced to jail for, you know, lesser crimes than what Trump, you know, just got convicted for. So I don't think nobody's going to feel sorry for him in that case. And then, you know, and if it was a political move, hey, it was a brilliant political move, because I read this morning, or I read over the weekend, that 49% of independents think Trump should drop out, you know, after the convictions. You know, it's easier to say this is a witch hunt, this is a witch hunt, this is a witch hunt, you know, when you haven't been convicted. And that was one of my concerns. I said that last week. I was like, yo, if Donald Trump, before the verdict came in, I was like, yo, if he gets found not guilty on this, it makes everything across the board look like a witch hunt. It makes what's, you know, going on in Florida, what's going on in Georgia with the election case, it makes all of that look, makes the January 6th insurrection stuff, it makes everything look like a witch hunt. If he was found not guilty on these 34 counts, it wouldn't even matter that it was just some Stormy Daniels porn star stuff. It would just make his, you know, declaration that all of this is a witch hunt stronger. So the fact that he was convicted, I think it does change the minds of a lot of people. You know, I think he has his diehard supporters who are going to, you know, show up for him regardless. But when you look at those independents, and they're like 49% of them say they think Trump should drop out after the conviction. That was a good political move if it was a political move.
Well, I said on the flip side, he's raised nearly $60 million since he was convicted, smashing all records. He's galvanized his base massively. The independents are very important, there's no question. But I'm now going to ask you a question.
Now, are we that weak-minded? We're saying, oh, he got convicted. You know what? My mind changed about him. I can no longer support no felon. I can no longer support somebody who was convicted. But you're not considering how everything was stacked against him from the beginning? You're not considering that? That's just called being a thinking person, a person that actually thinks about the whole thing. That's it. You're just looking at the conviction. You don't care how everything was lined up to take this dude down. You don't care about the fact that there is nothing that his dollars or his reach or any of that can do. His resources are null and void when it comes to how they stacked the cards, bro. I don't care about how well you prepare for a sport. Like if you're playing a sport, or if you're great at anything, I don't care about how well you're prepared. If the cards are stacked against you and the refs are bought and paid for, if the coaches are bought and paid for, if everything is bought and paid for already so that you can lose, you're going to lose. And if if people miss that part, then that shows that you're just not a thinking human being. Matter of fact, I don't even think he wants people to support him who don't think for themselves. I want people to support me who think for themselves. That's what I want. Oh, he got a conviction now. So I'm thinking that a lot of people aren't going to vote for him because he got a conviction. They don't care about how everything was stacked against him. They just like, oh, well, he was guilty. So if I did that, I would be guilty and I'd be arrested. Somebody just now posted that on Facebook this morning, and they was like, voting for a convicted felon just don't make sense to me, because anybody else who's convicted, who's a felon, they can't even vote. Please make that make sense. And I broke that down. Shout out to my man K Will, phenomenal brother. He brought that up. But the thing is, a lot of people don't understand that the cards were stacked against this dude from the beginning, even when he very first got the job as president, bro. They didn't even give him a chance. As soon as he got the job as president. How do I know that? Because I was on that side. I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Biden. I voted for Hillary against Trump, even though I did not like Hillary because of how nasty and how, in my opinion, racist as hell she was being against Barack. In my opinion, that was just me. Because I was blue no matter who, from Southeast DC. Everybody where I'm from, they vote blue, no matter what. So I'm just saying, man, sometimes we got to think about these things and not just look at, well, he was convicted, so that does mean something. It means nothing.
Which will fly completely in the face of what I was talking to you earlier about only asking you to represent the black community. I don't mean it like that, but there'll be a lot of black Americans who will share Trump's view about the justice system being particularly unfair to members of the African American community in America. So is Trump not entitled to say, look, on this occasion, the justice system was deliberately skewed to nail me and was therefore used unfairly?
Yeah, I highly disagree about that narrative that a lot of black people are gravitating towards Trump because Trump is being targeted by the justice system, or now he's been convicted of crimes. I push back on that. I just don't agree with that, because when you look at what happened with Trump, like there's a two-tier justice system in America. We know that. We know that there's a way, that black people are treated, and we know that there's a way, white people are treated. But then there's another third tier that we're seeing right now, and there is a way that privileged white males who used to be president are treated. Because in the New York case, you never saw a mugshot, you never saw Donald Trump in any handcuffs. Piers, you tell me where that happens. Who does that happen to in America? There's rich.
Well, we have seen a Trump mugshot
in Georgia, but not in the New York case.
Right.
Hey, thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Beth says, I'm a new subscriber, and I want to thank you for continuing to spread truth. I'll continue to listen. God bless you. God bless you too. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Sometimes the nice things that you say to myself and other content creators, we really appreciate it, because we go through our own things on this side. And especially if we're publicly speaking on things that the community that we know and love and grew up knowing and love don't really adhere to, we lose a lot of friendships. We lose a lot of partnerships. You know what I mean? Our relationships sometimes wane because of it. But at the end of the day, it is all about truth seeking. And it's about, honestly, it's not about voting for a party. It's not voting for a person. It's voting your values. What do you stand for? It's voting your interests. What are you interested in? What are you trying to become? What are you trying to grow with your family, with your finances? All those things. Your beliefs. What do you believe in? Does the party that you're voting for believe in this too? Or do they believe in darkness and debauchery? I'm just saying, because a lot of people, they're trying to label Christians right now as Christian nationalists, and that's not the same. And everybody's trying to push something called Program 2025. Program 2025 is something, Project 2025. Everybody's talking about it on the left, because they're trying to spark some fear into people. Like, if you're going to vote for him, just know that he's going to be a dictator. He's going to take over. He ain't never going to come out of the office. And you saw how they tried to take over Congress, and they tried to take over Capitol, and they tried to take over this. Relax. Don't allow anybody to install any fear in your heart, in your mind, in nothing. Because that's what the devil tries to do. That's what the enemy tries to do. They try to install fear so that you not think anymore. You're emotionally connected to what ifs. You're focusing on the lack and not the abundance. And that's exactly what messed us up with Adam and Eve. That's if you believe in that, and I do.
So for him to be screaming that being treated so unfairly, and it's like, not necessarily. 34 counts and you get to walk out of a courtroom, you know.
Well, the 34 counts only... Look, I would say that, and I'm only playing devil's advocate here, but I would say 34 counts are all on the same thing, right? So it sounded a lot worse than it was. It was all about the same falsifying of business records. I think the unfairness point really is, would any other businessman have had that misdemeanor upgraded to a felony? I don't think they would. So that's where it looks to me like a Democrat-motivated Alvin Bragg, who is a Democrat and was on record saying, I want to take down Trump.
Well, he ran on that. He ran on that.
Right. So he's made no secret of what he wants to do, and he's done something with this misdemeanor which has not been done with other people.
But this is what I tell people, Piers. Alvin Bragg ran on that. People can't get you if you don't give them nothing to get. So clearly...
What? People can't get you if you don't give them nothing to get. So if he wouldn't have signed that form, bruh, come on, man. People can't get you if there isn't nothing to get. How about this? Can people get you if there's a whole lot to get? Can people get you if your family is funneling money through other family members from other countries? If there's actual information to show, there's actual facts to show how other countries is sending money to a certain family with the last name Biden, and then they're sending it to other family members and other family members and putting it under this LLC and this LLC. What about that? Can they get them then? What about if one person is on video smoking crack, holding guns, blah, 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 and you do realize that when you purchase a weapon, you got to say that is a checkbox that say if you use drugs, if you use recreational drugs, then you're not supposed to be a gun owner. Well, we have one person who's the son of the president who uses drugs. And we saw the cocaine baggies found inside of the White House. And I don't know how many cocaine baggies was found, but we also saw video and we also saw pictures of one of their sons actually doing something extremely illegal, which he's going to walk off of. So I'm just saying, bro, you gotta keep that same energy, man.
You know, Trump has done enough to where they were able to bring charges against him and now have him convicted in a court of law. Like we can sit here and debate whether that's right or wrong, but the only reason we would say it's wrong is because he's a president and we think that he should have a different level of privilege than everybody else.
Well, actually, I do think they should. I actually do.
Dang.
Yeah, because I don't think any president in America, particularly now, could possibly get a fair trial. I don't care what people say about that jury. There will have been people in there who were not being entirely honest about what they really feel about Trump. I'm sure of it. Because how could you not have extreme views about Trump either way?
Oh, I agree with that. That I agree with you. But I've been saying that from day one. It's impossible for somebody like Donald Trump to get judged by a jury of his peers, a jury that's not biased.
And it would be for Biden, by the way. It would be if Biden was being prosecuted in a criminal court in Texas, it would be exactly the same issue. I would feel exactly the same way. It's just, I just don't think any American president can possibly get a fair trial of a jury of so-called peers. They're not peers. He's the president of the United States. He's the most powerful person in the country. He's one of only 46 people to hold that office. Of course, this jury has nothing in connection with Trump on that level. So I just felt like from the start, the whole principle of dragging him through a courtroom over something so relatively trivial, I felt was always destined to make America a more divided country, which it already is.
What do you think about the other charges? Do you think the other charges are fair?
I think he certainly has responsibility for what happened on January the 6th, and I think that was serious. And people died, and that is a very serious situation. I think the storing of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago was wrong, and I think it's serious for any president to do that. But I also know Joe Biden was found with a lot of documents at his house in Delaware. And on the Georgia phone call, it comes down to your interpretation of the phone call. Trump will have a view about what he meant when he said, I need to find these extra votes. Other people will take another view. And again, it comes down to, if that's a jury trial, is it really going to be in Georgia a fair trial for Donald Trump? Are those 12 people so unimpeachable that they can rise above any personal feelings for Trump? I very much doubt it. He's probably the most famous person and notorious person in the history of planet Earth. And the idea he can be in a courtroom anywhere in America and get a fair shake is, I think, for the birds.
How many people died in Black Lives Matter rallies and protests? Just answer that question. How many businesses were broken into or burned up during Black Lives Matter protests? Please answer that question. How many vehicles were damaged or burned up? How many police were attacked or hurt during these protests? Who set them on their paths? Was that person or those people charged for the crimes that were committed by these protesters? The answer is no. Nobody in office was charged for that. No, they didn't consider it. They didn't care. As a matter of fact, we used to get out there on the stump. Maxine Waters, shout out to Auntie Maxine, got out there and said, we need to go raise hell. We need to go do this, that, and the third. I don't see her in front of anybody's in any court being questioned at all. She can say whatever she want to say. Nancy Pelosi could say whatever she want to say. It does not matter. The fact is, the country does not hate Trump, but the left does. And they're trying to ignite all of their powers, everyone who can back them, to lock this dude up. And it's not about locking him up. They can care less about seeing him in jail. They just don't want to see him in the White House. So they're trying to put everything on him. Wait a minute. If we do arrest him, then he can't become president, right? Right? All right, so let's arrest him. Dang, we arrested him and he could still be, we charging him, but he can still be president. God dang it. What about this? Like, he keep beating everything that they keep throwing in front of him. And they are pissed. They are pissed. And that right there tells me that where there's smoke, there's fire. And I want to see the fire right now. I want to see Trump become president again, just so I can see the faces of all of these people who came together to keep him out of office, bro. And we do know that there's going to be a whole bunch of stalemates and lame duck sessions when he does become president, because nobody's going to want to give. Nobody's going to want to do anything to make it seem like this guy is a good president. They don't care. They don't want this country to do better. They don't. It's crazy that they don't want this country to do better. And we are the voters. We are the citizens. Do they care about us? Do they love us anymore? Or is it all about their interests in their pocketbooks? I would choose the latter. I would say it's the latter.
I agree. But then, so what do you do? Like, how do you hold people like that accountable? Like America clearly,
I think you go through impeachment. You go through the impeachment process. And
they've done that twice. They did that twice.
I know. But that's all you're left with. You look at Bill Clinton. He was impeached over Monica Lewinsky and lying to the American people. A lot of presidents get impeached for stuff. It is normally the mechanic that you use, but nobody thought of dragging Clinton through a criminal court for any of the stuff with either Monica Lewinsky or Paula Jones.
Well, yeah, that's true too. It's so interesting because I think out of all of the cases, right? The election interference in Georgia, trying to find the extra votes. And I think the insurrection are the strongest ones, because even if you bring up the Mar-a-Lago case to what you just did, the first thing people will say was, well, hey, President Biden had documents in his house too, right? And then now you're trying to figure out, well, what document is what? Was it the nuclear code? Was it something simple? So people would dismiss that one. I think the same thing with the New York one, with the Stormy Daniels. People will be like, man, that's what he getting convicted for? Yeah. Right? So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because I think you would have the same reaction if he was in court right now in Georgia and they found him guilty of trying to find extra votes. It would be the same reaction.
Totally agree.
From the American people.
But that is my problem that's my problem with taking presidents through the regular criminal system. I don't think you can. I just don't think. And it goes
back to this, right? And I'm not trying to plug my book, but it's true. What I said about everybody putting things on the same scale. Yeah. Right? Like all 4 of those charges should not be on the same scale. They should not be weighted the same. Like, 2 of those things, to me are much heavier than the other 2.
But should Barack Obama be taken through criminal courts for running drone programs that killed lots of innocent people?
Oh man, if you do that, then you're gonna have to lock up every single president
so your logic,
in America.
okay, but to pick you up on that, Charlamagne, your argument against doing that is you then have to do it for everybody else, right?
You will not get Charlamagne the God to say, Charlamagne the God, he has a black following, a black liberal following, and a white liberal following. He's not going to sit there and say, you know what, you're right, based off of what you just now said, Barack Obama should be under investigation. Why would he say that? Why would he say that? Because if he do, then that means President Obama will be under investigation. Hillary Clinton will be under investigation. The Bushes will be under investigation. Like, come on now. That's right there is a slippery slope. And if you can get him to admit that, then he will also have to admit that what Trump is going through right now is peanuts in comparison to what happened with these other presidents. And it's not going to happen, bro.
Right? But Trump.
Hey, and shout out to my man Robert Kelly. I see you, brother. He said you are delusional. I don't know who who the you is. Are you talking about me? You can feel free to pull up and I will post the link down here, and you can come on and tell me why I'm delusional if you feel like I'm the one that's delusional, because I would love to hear why I'm delusional.
Wasn't afforded that logic with this prosecution.
Well, we're in a new day and age. And, you know, I guess this is how it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if we want that. Like, you know, there's been people right now that's calling, you know, for if the federal cases against Trump happen, they're calling for Joe Biden to pardon Trump. You know, I don't know, Piers. Like, you know, we about to see some things in America that we've never, ever seen before, you know, moving forward.
And that's why I asked you, is it good for America? And I think probably you kind of agree with me that ultimately, I'm not sure any of this is good for America. Looking at it from outside America at the moment, I love America.
I don't know.
I love Americans, but watching what is happening here is really unsettling. It feels like a kind of banana republic, you know, like sort of wild, corrupt, you know, South American regime. It's like, it doesn't feel like America.
Yeah, but the only reason I say I don't know is because if I say no, this isn't good for America because of what happened in New York, what about when a president, you know, does things like attempts to lead an insurrection of this country?
Right.
You know, what about when the president does things like, you know, tries to overthrow the results of an election? You know, like what those. Which
Black America don't care about. Just letting y'all know right now. Urban cities can care less about throwing over the Capitol or throwing over the government, about a president igniting something to throw over the government. They don't. They don't care about trying to throw over an election. None of that. None of that. So the fact that he's bringing it up as if it's important to him or his base that support him, bro, it's disingenuous, man. It's disingenuous. He's just bringing up talking points, sound bites, things that make him feel like he's intelligent and he know what the hell he's talking about when he actually do not, and he should. Listen, I ain't even going. I'm gonna talk later, man.
Those are things that I feel like should be punished because none of that is constitutional. So, you know, for me to say, hey, this isn't right, I can't say that, because if I say that about this, then that means even the bigger things that he's accused of, I got to dismiss those too. And I don't necessarily agree with dismissing those.
Let's just play a clip. This is from your last interview with me when I asked you about Trump. Let's listen to this. I need a name, Charlamagne.
Is he winnable? I really don't know.
You got to give me a name.
Who's going to win?
Biden v. Trump.
It's not Dean Phillips.
It's not going to be Dean Phillips. I really, truly don't know. If I had to say right now, I would say Donald Trump.
Wow. There we go, the casting vote. Charlamagne the God, the man with his finger on the pulse of America. Trump.
Maybe, but I don't know. I really.
It's a long time.
That's what's so scary about it.
So I'll ask you the same question post-conviction. Do you still think, this is not about whether you want him to win, but do you still think Trump will win?
I truly, really don't know now, and I'll tell you why. I think, you know, like most elections in America, it comes down to the bases. And, you know, right now, Donald Trump's base is very energized, you know, behind, you know, this conviction. Like, you know, last week in New York City, they had Fifth Avenue blocked off. Guy was walking around Fifth Avenue with an F Joe Biden sign. And then there was all of these, a bunch of F Joe Biden signs, you know, up and down the block. And on the flip side, you know, a lot of President Biden's base doesn't seem too energized, by him right now. I mean, especially when you look at, the Muslims in Michigan, who are mad over, what's happening in Gaza. If they sit out, in mass, it could be a real problem, for President Biden. But then on the flip side of that, you go in, like I said earlier, the 49% of independents who, think Trump should drop out. So literally right now, I think it's going to come down to who can energize their base the most, who can make those diehard, constituents come out in droves in November. And I don't know. I really don't know who that's going to be.
Come on, bro. You are so full of sugar honey iced tea. I don't know who's gonna bring the crowds out. How do you not know who's gonna bring the crowds out? Question. Here's a little pop quiz. Okay, here we go. Who's bringing the crowds out now? No. Who's bringing the crowds out now, bro? That will be pretty indicative of who can bring the crowds out in the future. Simple and plain. One person has been on TikTok for a long time and hasn't even hit 500,000 followers, and he is the current president of the United States. One person just joined TikTok a couple of days ago and got 3 million followers off the break. And TikTok is a liberal platform. So please make that make sense. I think we need to pay attention to all of this because all of this is important. It really is. And I still haven't seen Robert Kelly, bro. I saw somebody by the name of Robert Kelly put out there that you are delusional, and then he rolled out. If you're still here, bro, I said before, and I don't know if you heard me, I will put the link below for you to pull up and tell me why I'm delusional, or if it's anybody else out there who feel like I'm delusional for taking the stance that I've taken or having the opinions that I have. Feel free to pull up. I'm not a political person. I don't know all of the bills, all the laws. As a matter of fact, most people who will go against me from the left and debate me about politics, they would destroy me because I don't have anything to come back with, nothing but common sense. So your facts, your liberal facts against my common sense. All right, so let me know if that's something that you're interested in.
Have you decided yet who you're going to vote for?
Have I decided yet who I'm going to vote for? Yeah, I believe so.
Would you like to share it with me?
No.
He's voting for Biden. That's why he's not going to share it. No, I tell the truth about everything but this. I'm real out and I'm speaking honestly about everything but this one thing. Ooh, I got to keep it close to the vest. I got to keep it close. I already know I'm going to vote for. I'm faking like I'm independent. I'm faking like I'm objective. I'm faking like I'm listening to everybody and taking into account, equally what everyone is saying. But for this one, no, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. Why, bruh? Like, put it out there. Just say who you voting for. Who you voting for, bruh? When you see that right there, man, you already know that somebody's full of sugar honey iced tea. You claim to have come a long way intellectually. You claim to be more fair in your thinking all of a sudden, but you won't say who you're voting for. Nope, just buy my book. You'll see who I'm voting for in my book. It's on chapter 12, page 85. Come on, bro.
Not at all. But, I tell everybody, this is what I do with my listeners. I put all the facts as I know them on the table. I bring on people who, want to cheer for their respective sides. Like I said, we had Governor Josh Shapiro in here. He's clearly a...
Hey, man, Jared Dupree is a troublemaker, bro. Bro, that is hilarious, man. Hey, yo, that's hilarious, bro. Yo, okay, that made me. Hey, thanks for the laugh, bro. I appreciated that, man. Oh my gracious. All right, let me stop playing games, man. Let's get back to it. This is crazy, bro. I just don't like when people double speak. It's okay to change your mind, Charlamagne. It's okay to change your mind, bro. It really is. You're not going to lose followers. You're not going to lose supporters if you are simply a person that's going to um, look at everything on a level that's comparative. Don't put if he's saying that we're putting the small things on the same level of the big things, then he need to consider the small things as small things and the big things as big things. And also, if you're going to do that, then you have to acknowledge the past and the history of Joe Biden. You have to acknowledge who he is as a person. You have to acknowledge how he goes to HBCU after HBCU and pander for votes. You have to acknowledge those things. You have to. That's big, in my opinion. I said before, if you blindly support Biden after knowing everything you know, then you are the real sellout. All right? That's just my opinion.
Surrogate of Joe Biden. But then, we've had, the people like Candace Owens in here and, different conservatives like Vivek Ramaswamy.
No, that's why I love your show.
Yeah, so it's like, I just want everybody to get all the information and make their own decisions. We've had third-party candidates in here. We've had RFK Jr. here. We've had Cornel West, Marianne Williamson. I want to put everything on the table. I want all my listeners to get as much information as they can about everything that's available for them to vote for, and they go make their own decisions.
The latest polls suggest that 17% of Black Americans would now vote for Trump, a significant increase on either of the two last elections.
I bet you he say he don't believe that's true.
Can you understand that?
I don't believe it, and the reason I don't believe it.
Have y'all? Yo. Oh my gracious.
A month ago, it was 22%. I think all of those polls are a little bit overstated. I think what happened, first of all, I would like to know who they're polling, because I've never met anybody who's been polled. Like my good sister, Angela Rye, she has a great podcast called the Native Land Podcast with Andrew Gillum and Tiffany Cross, and they just literally had a discussion about that last week. I don't know any, Black person who's ever been polled. So I would like to know who they're polling. But I think what you're experiencing right now,
that's the only poll that he want to see. Every other poll, you'll believe it. But that poll right there, nah, I need to know who y'all polling. Like, what neighborhoods y'all went into and who you ask. Huh? Who you ask? Well, we got somebody by the name of Lou Valentino who actually walks the streets of New York with a microphone and talk to people who have voted Biden and have voted blue no matter who all their lives. And if you go and watch those videos, you will see hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, saying who they're voting for now. And they are us. They are Black and brown individuals. They are white individuals who were leaning liberal before, and now they're like, yo, I don't know now, bro. I don't know now. The polls are, I guess they're secretive, but there's a bunch of people who are talking to regular people on a regular basis about who they're voting for, and they're telling us the truth. We just got to believe it. And if we don't believe it, we're choosing not to believe it. And that's up to you. Why is he choosing not to believe it? That's the question I want to know the answer to.
Now, like I said earlier, you have the exhausted majority. In every presidential election year, we have this. It's the same exact conversation. Black people are disappointed. Black people are fed up with the Democratic Party. So if you're talking to Black people, some Black people in this moment, I think that's what you're getting. And when it comes to a lot of these polls, because, and even when you see those poll numbers, it's not because of anything that, Donald Trump is doing. I think it has to do more with what Black people feel. And like I said, I can't speak for all Black people, but I'm just basing this off conversations that I've had. What a lot of Black people feel the Democratic Party hasn't done for them over the years, not even just this current Biden administration, just over the years. A lot of hope, a lot of change has been promised that, we've never received the way we want to. And I think that's what happens. Whoever these people that they're polling, I think that's what you're getting. You're getting a reaction to just, years and years of disappointment in Democrats. I don't think it necessarily has to do with anything that Donald Trump is doing, or even, President Biden isn't doing. President Biden is just continuing a tradition of, not doing enough for Black people, and Black people feeling like not enough is being done, for them by Democrats.
What we need to get out there is that the Democratic Party is not the party for Black people. There is no party for one race of individuals. And if we think that there's a party for a race of individuals, we've already started off wrong. We've already put ourselves in a trick bag that we can't get out. We can't get out unless, and it ain't about their feelings. It's about they're starting to learn. They're starting to listen now. They're starting to hear people who look like them, people like myself, people like Doc Rich, people like Lou Valentino, people like Righteous Perspective, Wise over on Righteous Perspective, people like Black Conservative Perspective, Officer Tatum. They're starting to hear Black people who look like them, give them the facts. It has nothing to do with feelings. If they've tuned into my channel, I'm giving them information and they can make up their minds from that. There are people who are doing videos saying, I've left the Democratic plantation. All right. They're doing that because that's exactly what it is. It's like we've been locked into thinking that one party is for one particular race of individuals. Do y'all not know how dumb that is? That's so stupid. It's dumb as hell. All we want is, what you gonna give us? Huh? What you gonna give us? What you gonna give us as Black people? We want more. We want more representation. We want more money. We want more positions. We want more this. We want more that. That's all we want to know. What you gonna give us? Huh? What you gonna give us? And I'm like, from what pot are we giving you anything? From what pot? We're already very deep in debt, but nobody gives a damn about that. What you going to give us? Give? What are you going to give yourself? Using the resources that you have, using the freedoms that you have, what are you going to give yourself? See, we're so busy talking about white supremacy. We're in a race with these white people because of a white system that's set up that's holding us back. And while we're so busy trying to get something from the white man with our hands out, please, white man, give me something. Please, white man, I don't want a damn thing from the white man. I don't want a damn thing from the government. All I want to be able to do is run my race without you messing with me. Right? That's what you should want. But guess what? Now, every single nationality that's coming from other countries that don't even speak our language at first, they're surpassing not only Black people, but white people too in America. Because we're so busy fighting each other and they're so busy just doing business and bringing their family over to do more business and bringing their family over to do more business and bringing their family over to do more business, so forth and so on. Wash, rinse, repeat. And we're busy fighting each other, Black people and white people, white privilege, you're racist, I'm black, I'm white, and I'm white, and I'm black and white. And people are they're soaring over us. That's the dumbness of it all. I don't believe that 17% of Black people are supporting them because all the Black people are supposed to be on the Democratic side, and that's never happened, and that's concerning to me. Why is that so concerning? Why? Are we really the monolith that people claim that we are? Do we really all think the same, move the same, act the same, talk the same? Huh? Do we all have the same ambitions? Do we? The answer is hell no. So why are we always considered to vote the same? Simply because we have been for a long time? And then, as you can clearly see inside of the video where it says, nobody's above the law, right? Nobody's above the law. In Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C., our most favorite mayor is Marion Barry. If you Google or YouTube search Mayor Marion Barry, you will see that this brother was caught in a hotel room with a woman and he was smoking crack. And the police came up in there while he was in there and they locked him up. And he said, the bee set me up. And that's our most favorite, beloved mayor. We just now named the street after him that used to be called Good Hope Road in Southeast DC off of 16th Street. My family grew up around there, right? Just now named. What if, right? Now, a lot of black people supported Mayor Burry, even after the crack and the hookah in the hotel. You want to talk about what's even and balanced? Do you think that Joe Biden would have been voted into office as the president if his son's videotapes and pictures would have been out there while he was running of him inside of the hotel with a gun and smoking drugs with hookers and taking pictures with the gun and the girls and all this other stuff? Do you honestly think that he would have been voted into office? Because if everybody's should be, labeled the same and everybody should be charged the same, then consider that. We haven't considered that at all. And we don't consider the crime bill. We don't consider how many people Kamala got arrested for weed, which is now legal in a lot of cities and a lot of states. We don't give a damn about none of that. We're so locked into the fact that black people are supposed to vote Democrat. I don't believe that, man. At all. And if you don't vote Democrat, nobody's talking to you. Everybody want to shun away and not even look at the facts anymore. All they're looking at is, well, a felon is not even supposed to have a driver's license, but they can win as president. I don't see that. And now, look, they're trying to take Trump's gun license away from him now. And they're trying to see if, wait a minute, if he has a gun and he's a felon, then he could be arrested for that, right? Right? So now they're trying to go to all these different places. Like he says he has a gun license in this state, in this city, but he's a felon now, so we can lock him up for that. They're trying to find whatever they could possibly find to prevent him from running for president. And there's a reason for that. Because if he does become president, then that mess up their program, their opportunities to get money, their opportunities to do all of the debaucherous things they've been doing for a long time. And we're just got our blinders on like, come on, man. We got to vote Democrat. If we don't vote Democrat, then they're going to come for us. White people are going to put us in slavery again.
And is that feeling enhanced by what is widely accepted to be the poor performance of Kamala Harris as vice president?
I think we all at this point realize that the vice president has been handcuffed in a lot of ways. She was being attacked, by her own party. There was, months ago, there was like so many stories constantly coming out, and the stories were about how people in the Democratic Party were basically telling President Biden to watch out for Vice President Harris because she has aspirations, past being vice president. And I think, because of that and because of the position that she's in, it might make her fall back, in a way. But, she's starting to come out a little bit more. But I still would like to see, the Vice President Harris, the Kamala Harris that a lot of us, know from her days in the Senate when she was really holding people's feet to the fire, man. I'd like to see her come out and really prosecute, the case against Donald Trump to the American people. Now she has more to even be able to do that with now that he's been, convicted. And I think the biggest thing that, folks should be saying about somebody like Donald Trump is like, regardless of, party, right? If you call yourself a patriot, you have to say that a lot of things he does are just not constitutional. Like, if you're calling for the determination of the Constitution, to overthrow the results of an election, if you led an attempted coup of this country, at the least, you have to say that's not patriotic. So when you're out here waving your American flag or, you're mad at athletes for taking a knee, right? And you're calling that unpatriotic, then what is that, what he's doing?
It actually is patriotic to hold the government accountable for not allowing things to be fair and free. It's whenever you pull the wool over the American people's eyes, they do have the right to stand up against the government because the government works for us. We don't work for the government. So that is actually being patriotic. But I'm not going to say anything about that because as long as you're doing it with no guns and you're doing it not trying to take over anything, if you actually looked at the tapes of Jan 6, and I'm not going to talk about this too much because that could potentially get me in trouble, so I'm going to be quiet after this. If you look at the tapes inside of Jan 6, you will see that a lot of people were on tours by the actual officers. They are being walked around and like, okay, and that's a picture that was donated by such and such. And that room right there is the room that Monica Lewinsky and Bill was caught inside of. And I'm being facetious at the moment, but y'all understand what I'm saying. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
It's a very interesting point. I want to end, Charlamagne, a couple of totally different stories.
Now, hold on 1 second. I want to show y'all something before we end this, because there's another thing I wanted to show y'all, and I can't believe that Jared said that had that on my screen the whole time, bro. There's another conversation I wanted to pull up really quickly, and it's between the young lady from CNN, and she's talking to Byron Donalds, who I actually really like, man. I think Byron Donalds is a good dude.
I grew up with my mom. My dad and my mom, things didn't work out. As an adult, I look at my father and I say, bro, I don't know what happened, but you my father and I love you.
Wow.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't there.
Wow.
But I'm gonna tell you this, growing up, the one thing I knew I wanted to do, and this is not about my father, this is about what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a father to myself.
Wow.
And so one of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of black families with younger black men and black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America the last 10 years, and I say it because it's my contemporaries, it's Wesley's contemporaries, you're starting to see more black people be married in homes, raising kids. It's when you home with your wife raising your kids, and then you look at the world, you're saying, now wait a minute, time out. This does not look right. How can I get something to my kids? It goes back to the conversation of generational wealth. Not just having a job, generational wealth.
Now, we should note that many Democrats who jumped on Donalds today claimed that he said that blacks were, quote, better off. As you heard there, he didn't use those exact words in the clip, but the congressman joins me now to talk about that. Congressman, thank you for being here. I want to just focus on really the substance of what you were saying or trying to say in that clip. What did you mean by black families were more together during Jim Crow?
Frankly, what that is about the empirical fact that before the Great Society, before Lyndon Johnson's policies, there was more black families united. The marriage rate in black America was significantly higher before the Great Society. The period of time that coincides with that, obviously, is Jim Crow era. And then after the Great Society, the marriage rate in the black community plummeted significantly. The Great Society is a part of that reason, not completely, but it's definitely a part of that. And what you're seeing right now in America is a reformation of black families in America. That's a good thing, not only for the black community and for black families, but it's also a good thing for the country.
So what?
Now, what she's trying to do, she wants to put his back against the wall for acting as if the Jim Crow era was good, and that's not what he was saying. But this is something that she's going to try to stay on, and I want y'all to see how many times she interrupts him. She asks him a question, he answers it, and she interjects when he's not answering it the way that she wants him to answer it. But he's putting it all out there on the line. I just want to say that. And also, thank you so much for the super chat, Melcore. This reads, this little scumbag was arrested twice for possession with intent to distribute marijuana and cocaine. He later pleaded guilty. He later pled guilty to contributing to the delinquency of a minor. He got only probation for the kid. Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all. And also everyone else who's out there, please do me a favor, hit the like button, share this bad boy. That would be absolutely amazing. And I do appreciate you guys. All right, let's go.
What was the point of tying together the Black family and Jim Crow specifically? I mean, Jim Crow, as you know, was a period of racial segregation, of racial terror. Why would you make that connection?
All I was doing was referring to the time periods when you talk about the historical timelines in America and coinciding with Black families and what the marriage rate in Black families are. The overarching point is obviously talking about what polling shows today, that about 25% of the Black vote, depending on what poll you're looking at, is leaning towards supporting Republicans and supporting President Trump. The corollary to that is that when you're in a family unit, husband and wife, living together, working together, thriving together, you're raising your kids, your thought process is now talking about building generational wealth. What am I leaving to my children? What kind of communities do I want my children to come up in? What are the educational opportunities? What's going on with the economy? How does, and then to a broader level, how does foreign policy and all these other public policy issues flow into that? And so when you compare the terrible agenda of Joe Biden and what that's done to families in America, coinciding with the fact that you are seeing a reformation of Black families in America today, which is an absolutely wonderful thing and needs to continue. My view is it also coincides with a more conservative leaning and a more conservative mindset politically in those families.
One thing I really want to just get you to address.
She don't care about anything he just now said. Everything he said was why he hold a certain level of importance when it comes to families. Why is it important that people have families in the home? She don't want to hear about that. Everything he just now said, she's not going to acknowledge as good. What she want to hear is, why are you looking at the Jim Crow era as a sexy time for Black people? Because that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that. All right. She's trying to put him in a box, but instead of her acknowledging that you're absolutely right. Families do matter. Families are important. Having a strong man, a strong woman in the household so they can come together and raise their families up and start their tree and their branches that's coming from their tree and setting the foundation, that's extremely important. That's why I said what I said. But she don't want to hear that. She want to hear about the Jim Crow stuff.
There were a lot of people who heard what you had to say, and a lot of them are offended by the idea that you would repeat Jim Crow 3 times in your comments, as if to suggest that that was a time period because that Black families were, in your words, together, because, in your words, Black people were not just more conservative, they voted more conservatively. That's a good thing. I mean, it sounds like nostalgia. Do you regret using that time frame as a reference?
Nobody ever made nostalgia. That was never the point. It wasn't even about that. So where now I'm going to get my backup is, I didn't say that. I didn't even insinuate that. That is where the media and yes, Hakeem Jeffries and a lot of other people are taking
What exactly didn't you insinuate?
No, back up.
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. What didn't you insinuate?
The premise of your question, I did not insinuate. That is what people are trying to weave into what I said. What I said is crystal clear. It's on my social media. Go to @ByronDonalds on X. You can see the full clip. Abby, I appreciate you playing the full clip. What you are dealing with right now is a political environment where now anything I might say or any major surrogate might say is going to be twisted into the lens of race. That was never the point, not the idea whatsoever.
Just to clarify my questioning of you,
Sure.
I understand that this idea that you said it was better, you didn't use the words better. But when you talk about that time period, you're suggesting that because the Black family was together, they were better off than they are now.
See, this is the problem, Abby.
So are you saying that that's not the case? That the Black family was not better off when they were, in your words, together?
Abby, let me put it to you like this.
In the Jim Crow era.
Let's agree on something. I am, obviously one of the better communicators in the Republican Party. I know how to put words together. I do it very, very often. So I'm not going to say something that I do not agree with. What America is seeing right now, especially Black America, is the gaslighting that unfortunately does happen in politics, where you take my comments and you want to weave your own political viewpoint into what I said. What I said is very clear.
I asked you to explain because I wanted to, I want to undo is understand what you're saying here. Because if you're making a comparison, you're saying the Black family was together then, they're not together now, and you're using that to try to say that things are bad now. Well, first of all, let me just to set the table here.
They are, and I'll tell you why. Because what we support in this current administration is anti-family. Byron Donalds could just simply say that. This current administration does not support family. It supports whatever the hell you want to do. That's actually going against family. That's actually going against our values. It's actually going against what we stand for as a people. It's actually anti-country, what we're doing right now in this current administration. Byron Donalds need to break that down to her, but he's a great speaker. He's trying to explain to her in a way that's because this brother he's on the VP list, the VP short list. You know what I mean? Could potentially be somebody that's running next to Trump. But I will say this, if he does run next to Trump, hopefully it's only off of his merit and not because he's a Black man, because that's the stuff that I don't like. Because we already saw when Biden was on Breakfast Club when he said, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. So Charlamagne the God said, well, we're not going to vote for you unless you put a Black woman on the ticket. And he said, whoa. I plan on doing that, baby. I got one right here. I know exactly who I'm going to put on the ticket. And it's going to be a Black woman so I can get you. Can I get your vote now? Can I get your vote now? I do got a Black woman. Can I get your vote? She just need to listen.
By pretty much every available measure, Black families, Black individuals in this country are better off today than they were during Jim Crow. Would you agree with that?
Abby, of course I would. I'm not making that point, and this is the problem. What the Democrats, what Hakeem Jeffries did on the House floor, what Jamie Harrison, what the president of the NAACP, what the Biden campaign, because they're the ones who started this. It was really the Biden campaigns who were trying to cherry pick everything. They're trying to twist my words into saying something. I never said that. What I was talking about was specifically Black families. And the point that Black families being together is a great thing for the Black community. And you do have to acknowledge the empirical fact that before Lyndon Johnson's policies and the welfare state that was created in the United States, I'm not talking about good, bad, or indifferent.
But what about
Black families were, Black marriage rates were significantly higher.
Well, what about
They're
other
rising
things that
again in America. That's a good thing. We should celebrate that.
What about other things that may have contributed to the, maybe the decline in marriage rates, which, by the way, is not unique to Black families. That's happening actually across racial groups. But what about other things? I mean, what about redlining? Do you think that had an effect on the Black family? What about mass incarceration? What about the war on drugs, which was pushed by a Republican president whose advisor said it was specifically to target Black people? What about all of those things?
Look, if you want to talk about...
Well, she just now asked him, listen, let me tell you something. She just now asked him some good stuff. But I want y'all to notice this. Watch how he tries to answer it. He's going to try to answer all of that because these are all talking points. What about this? What about that? And what about this? What about accountability? How about that? She should have brought that part up, but I'm going to be quiet.
Target Black people. What about all of those things?
Look, if you want to talk about redlining and a lot of the other policies that were put forward, quite frankly, by the Democrat Party, if you're going to go back to Jim Crow, because Jim Crow was Democrat policies.
Well,
that's what that was.
I know that you know
Abby,
this.
Don't cut me off when I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah, she just now asked him a bunch of stuff, but what she's pretty much letting him know is, yo, this is my show, and I can interrupt you whenever I want. All right? So you're going to shut up and you're going to answer my questions. And if you're not answering them right the way that I want you to answer them, I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to flip it so that you not have an opportunity to make me look bad on my show. All right?
I have to correct on a factual point here. I know that you know that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party of today are ideologically not what they were during Jim Crow. You know that, Congressman. So to suggest that, the Democrats of 1920 are the same ideologically as the Democrats of today is inaccurate. So just, you can continue, but I wanted to...
That's not totally true, Abby, and I think if we want to have that conversation about the policy positions between Republicans and Democrats, we can have that conversation, but
one of the other
Abby, do you want to have a conversation?
One of the other things...
She would not let this man talk. Like, come on, bro. Can he talk? Can he talk? Let this man talk. You're not talking to Cameron right now about Diddy. You're not talking to Cam about Diddy right now. You're talking to somebody who matches you and surpasses you intellectually. Don't play games. Not saying that Cam does not match or surpass her intellectually. I'm just saying this is not that. This is completely different. This is a different ball game. You invited him to the show. He's answering your questions. You need to allow him to answer the questions. Okay, I do realize this makes for good TV, but if y'all go to this video right here, the CNN video that I'm actually reviewing, and you were to check it out, you will see that in the comments section, they are destroying her. Destroying.
I'm trying to understand how you want this
since you brought it
Sure.
up on the conservative thing. The other thing that you said was Black people voted more conservatively. Were you talking about them voting for Republicans?
In part, yeah, because that's just an empirical fact. That's what we know. That did happen. And the only corollary that I am making is that when families are together, and now you're trying to find a way for you to build wealth within your family unit, you're thinking about public policy in a myriad of ways. Because at the end of the day, you want your children to be able to stand on your shoulders. I was very, very fortunate. My mother was able to build a platform for me to be able to stand on and to be able to achieve. Same for my sisters. I'm a very blessed individual because of that. My only point is that when you have a family unit, husband and wife living together, striving together, grinding together, raising children together, you start thinking about public policy in a myriad of ways. And my belief is that dynamic allows people to start thinking about public policy in a much more conservative way as opposed to a much more progressive way. That's my point.
That might be, I think you're a Republican, so you're entitled to that opinion. But I think what people are taking issue with is
this dude was just concise. He was concise. He was kind. He was not raising his voice. He was just talking about all of the benefits of a family unit, and she would not acknowledge any of it. It's like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what you said and how I can make this look good for me and my show. That's it. All that stuff you're saying, yeah, that sounds like Republican stuff. Like Republican people think about families. They care about families. And we don't think about that over here. Why wouldn't she acknowledge that? This dude is kicking science that could potentially help her out. All I want to know is she married? What does she believe when it comes to values and family values specifically? Like, this is the stuff we don't know about these individuals who are on these platforms questioning other people who actually stand for the things that they're there to talk about when she does not clearly.
You're a Republican, so you're entitled to that opinion. But I think what people are taking issue with is you made a couple of statements of fact. And one of the things I was asking you about whether you were talking about Black people voting for Republicans. In the time period that you're talking about, the LBJ time period, they started voting for Democrats. And the reason is because of civil rights, because a Democratic president was passing bills that gave them rights. The Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1965, the Housing Fairness Act. So do you acknowledge that when Democrats Black voters vote for Democrats, it's actually because there's a history there. There's a reason that they voted for Democrats in that time period.
Hey, and thank you so much for the super chat, Courtney. Lisa Marie, I am actually inside of my my coaching group right now. We're going to be ending this shortly, but I just wanted to make sure that they see how I'm running this live stream. They see how I'm able to control the comments and able to pay attention to the content at the same time. And all these things are important when running the live stream. So I'm trying to show them that as they pull up. So I have a few of them pulling up right now. And again, guys, if y'all ever want any information about YouTube, about growing on YouTube, about if starting your content creation, any of that, my information is below. Reach out to me with the word coach and we can get it popping. But thank you so much, Lisa Marie. Shout out to my people in blue who always looking out for me. And Courtney Morrison, thank you so much for the super chat. And it reads, God said that vengeance is his. But considering how much the Black Democrats say they love the Lord, they sure don't seem to remember that part. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Are you attacking Christians or Black people? That makes you racist. No, but you're absolutely right. It's like we need to consider all parts of that. If we claim that we love the Lord, if we claim that we're spiritual people, why is it we support the side that completely goes against the grain of Christianity, completely goes against the grain of family values, completely goes against the grain of having a country in 20 years? The numbers are going down on everything. Everything. People are having less babies. They're getting married less. They don't even care about marriage. Everybody's going against it. Everybody's linking up with the same sex. Ain't no babies being created in that. It's just so many things to discuss. But I'm not knocking people who enjoy, what you enjoy. Do your thing. All I'm saying is in this conversation, she does not give a damn about family values, and it shows.
Not because they were just getting welfare money.
Abby, let me be clear.
And also, anyone from my group that want to get up here and commentate before we end this in like 15 minutes, please let me know and I will pull you up. Just raise your hand. I can see you. I don't see any hands raised. All right. Wait. I'm looking at the hands. Okay. Boom. All right. Who else? All right. Boom. All right. Boom. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Okay, that's it. Let's go.
Clear. I don't deny that. I think it's also important for the record to be clear that you had the vast majority of Democrats in the Senate were filibustering the 64 Civil Rights Act led by Robert Byrd, who, by the way, was a mentor to Joe Biden when he went into the United States Senate. So if we're going to talk about the history, let's talk about it clearly and completely. Republicans have been the ones who were pushing not just the 64 Civil Rights Act, but the other 4 Civil Rights Acts that occurred before 1964.
Let's go.
She's just stunned. Look at her, stunned.
Yeah. And it's because they never know their history. And I always point this out. We talk about the beginnings of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, and understand that the Republican Party comes from the Whig Party, which are the abolitionists that wanted to end slavery. And the Democrat Party comes from the Southern plantation owners who wanted to keep slavery. And
Facts.
do you think that once slavery ended, that they wanted to stop controlling people? Hell no. They want to control people to this day. And they've been doing the same thing. They divided slaves to keep them from uniting against them. And they're dividing us to keep us from uniting against them. Okay?
Divide and conquer.
Same playbook.
Anyone else before I go ahead and start this bad boy?
Divide and conquer.
Right.
Divide and conquer. Go ahead, River. I see you. You about to say something?
Well, no, I was going to ask if they already played the portion where she talks about the party switching.
Yes, she talked about that. What you got to say about that part?
Oh, I would love to say that if I was him, I would have asked her who exactly switched. Because when you look into it, very, very few people, I think it's around possibly 3 people switch. And then the argument that I would make there, is that you look at Strom Thurmond switching, he only switched because he became less racist. That's why he became a Republican. And we get that from Essie Mae Washington Williams, who is his Black daughter. So if anybody knows that he became less racist as he became a Republican, it would be his, you could call her a love child, a daughter that he kept hidden for a long time. But And then you contrast that with the Dixiecrats who stayed racist and Democrats their whole entire life, like Robert Byrd, the former exalted cyclops of the KKK. You can see him on Fox, maybe 9 years before he died, still dropping the N-bomb, still just as racist as ever. So you cannot tell me that there was a big party switch, because you have to not be thinking in order to just say something like that and take that in as truth, because we saw people who are alive today who were alive back then. Think about what you're saying when you say that. What would it take in 2024 for the parties to switch sides? There would have to be, I don't know, some sort of alien invasion. What you're saying is so outrageous and so crazy. And the thing of it is, we have people who are alive. We have 2 generations of people who are alive today that you can ask, that you can go and you can talk to them and say, hey, do you remember that magical morning that when everyone woke up and all the Republicans decided to be Democrats, and then all the Democrats decided to be Republicans? And guess what? Because I've asked them, they don't remember it because it never happened.
Correct.
Can I say, wait, that great switch was just a switch in the terms and the sides that they say that they were on. Back in the time of slavery, the Southern Democrats considered themselves conservatives because they wanted to conserve what the Constitution had said when it talked about blacks being 3/5 of a man. And the Republicans were considered the liberals because they wanted to change that. Well, in the Great Switch, all they did was switch the terms. Okay, now the liberals or the Democrats wanted to be the liberals and change the Constitution, and the conservatives were saying, no, we need to keep it the way it is. Okay, once civil rights came in, and once all the things that made us equal under the law, under the Constitution, once that happened, liberals, current liberals didn't want that. I mean, they want to change it now. They want to get back to where we were, and what they mean by that is
free your mind. The rest will follow.
The other thing that Abby Phillips is absolutely factually incorrect about, she made the assertion that blacks started voting 95% Democrat because of the Civil Rights Act of the 60s, which is absolutely not true. If you go back in history, the Great Switch, a different one, but the Great Migration of blacks to the Democrat Party did not happen in the 1960s. It happened during the New Deal FDR era, when the handout idea originally started. That's when, by and large, historically, black Americans started voting Democrat, and they left the principles, because they were all Republicans before then, because Republicans were the party of emancipation. They were the party of Lincoln. The Democrats were the party of segregation, the party of slavery, the party of the KKK, all of that. They left the Republicans and joined the Democrats because of the handout culture that existed during the Great Depression. They did it basically as a means of survival and subsistence. They trade, unfortunately, like a lot of other Americans, they traded principle for subsistence back in the 1920s. It did not happen in the 60s.
But then there was a renaissance that happened in the 50s and 60s of the black families and in the black cultures, because we had the nuclear family. And Johnson then decided, no, we need to get rid of that and get back to that welfare state. And now we have 70% of black families are single mothers. They've ripped out the men from the families and went right back to destroying us from within.
Look up the history of Margaret Sanger. That's all you need to know.
Yes.
Oh, I did a video on her. That was so shocking to me. Oh my gosh, Martin Luther King, other leaders were in on and agreed to this eugenics. And I was like, what? MLK signed on to that? Lord have mercy.
Listen, y'all bring so much substance to the conversation. I really appreciate it, because I just go off of common sense and what I've learned over my 46 years of.
Stop calling it common sense, because it's not common. It's basic sense, But
It
most
should
people
be.
don't have basic sense.
Oh, my
Okay, so don't call it common.
It's not common.
That's the history of the country.
The
I'm not
Democrats,
denying
there
that.
were
Abby,
Southern Democrats
Abby,
who
can I finish my
opposed.
point? All
Again,
I'm asking is to finish my point.
on the
Abby.
facts here, there were Southern Democrats who opposed these civil rights bills, but
Yes, that's
a majority
correct.
of them voted for it. It was also led by a Democratic president. So you acknowledge that.
But you
Southern Democrats,
cannot deny.
Southern Democrats
But you cannot deny
were recruited
that,
into the Republican Party in the time period after that. So when you talk about this, you just have to acknowledge that there's been a switch happening in the two parties. It's not the same today.
River, she's still talking about that switch.
As it was during Jim Crow. And so when you say that
Abby,
black people voted conservatively, that actually doesn't really tell us anything. It just tells us that they voted for the Republican Party, which is a different thing than it is for today.
are we also going to acknowledge that how the 64 Civil Rights Act actually got through the U.S. Senate was because of also the leadership of Senator Everett Dirksen, who was the minority Republican leader in the United States Senate at that time.
Absolutely.
You have to acknowledge that. So I think if we're going to talk about this, we have to acknowledge all of the history that went along with it.
I wasn't suggesting
and I think that's a good thing. We should have that historical
I
conversation.
wasn't suggesting that congressional Republicans necessarily were the stumbling block for any of this legislation. All I'm saying is that when you ask, why do black people vote for Democrats, you have to acknowledge that that is one of the main reasons. I want to just ask one other thing, though.
Okay, my question to you all, and I'm talking about people from my panel, why is it, do you think, really quickly, if all of you or some of you can answer this, why do you think black people are voting Democrat and have been voting Democrat for the longest?
there has been a collaboration between the black civil rights worker, the black preacher, and it was the black politician. And so it's called the Iron Triangle. Vince Everett Ellison has a book called the Iron Triangle, and he describes very perfectly how this collaboration has worked together to keep black people enslaved to the Democrat Party. Because if you notice, Democrat politicians go to black churches. And they pander, they kiss the babies, they shake the hands, they call the other side racist. They're projecting their own sins off onto the Republican Party when they are the ones who are, in fact, the racists. And this is something that has been put together in the civil rights worker, preacher, and black politician working together to keep the black people in line.
Wow.
And for some reason, loyalty. The fact that, black people didn't pay attention or even look into who they were voting for. They just voted because, hey, my mama voted this way, my daddy voted this way, my cousin voted this way. Everybody votes. It's known. If you're black, you vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, if you're black, pick up a book? Okay. Why not, if you're black, read a newspaper, learn something about who you're voting for, not just
Absolutely.
for the labor.
It just gets in my skin when they say I'm voting blue no matter who. I'm like, no matter who.
Well, I can't speak for this.
You
I'm
are
sure.
uppity black if you say no. Wait a minute.
I can't speak for this. I'm sure Chris can't either. But as a black person growing up, were you told Republicans were racist?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
They do it to this day.
All the trigger words, all the imagery, everything was, and what was it Joe Biden said? Oh, they're going to put you back in chains. Okay? Just all of that, all the time.
All right.
Have that drummed into you.
Seems like it's embedded in the culture a bit, and people just, I wasn't educated on it until I really started to research, and then I sort of found out, like, whoa, this is what's really happening. So you'd have to think that there's a lot of people out there that just don't know. I mean, if it's like in the culture to make it seem uncool to not know these sort of things, or you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of in the culture. You have all these songs saying F Donald Trump and all this sort of stuff. It's like frowned upon to even do your own research on it. So,
well,
yeah, if you do your own research, you're a sellout. River?
Right.
Oh, why do I think? I was just raised, same thing, basically what everybody else said. black people vote Democrats. Democrats are for black people and they're for the poor, and the Republicans are for the rich. But once you open up your eyes and you start looking at the policies that they are promoting, you'll see that that's anything but the truth. And it's not just it's actually, it's not even just like Republican versus Democrat. It's actually like the globalist agenda versus the populist movement.
You know what hit me? That just something as simple as if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I realized which party was doing which. Okay, Democrats want to hand out and feed you for a day so that you come back tomorrow and be dependent on them. Exactly. Republicans are trying to tell you, get off on your own 2 feet, start a business, learn to be self-sufficient, and you will thrive and succeed. And that's exactly what happens. Okay, you have black-owned businesses that take the risk, go out there and do the work, and they succeed. Look at Van. Okay, look at Van. Prime example. Okay, he didn't listen to any of that nonsense that Joe Biden was saying to the recent college graduates about how you got to work 10 times as hard and you're behind the ball. You know what?
He said, "You're."
You know,
look at Van. In the words of Joe Biden, he's well dressed and articulate, and
he's clean.
And he's clean.
As if that's something strange.
I know. We, have self-grooming skills. This is it's a regular thing.
Y'all are hilarious, bro.
Did you guys?
Hey, join the group, and you too can have.
Was it stated that I know she was talking about the parties, but I don't know if anyone stated that the parties actually did not switch, but the voter interest switched. Did anyone state that?
River broke it down. I think she touched on that, but their positioning of everything is just ridiculous, bro. I mean, even right now, Charlamagne the guy was just now talking to Piers Morgan, and he was saying that because of the convictions, a lot of independent voters are now reconsidering voting for Trump because of the convictions, but they're not paying attention about how lopsided it was, how before he even got tried, it was over. They're not taking in consideration any of that, but they're also not taking into consideration Hunter Biden and everything that the Bidens are doing illegally.
The Biden family. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, at all, man. But something I like to do on a daily basis. I like to watch. And my wife, whenever she comes home from work, she see me after that I've done my work for the day. I'm upstairs working out in front of the TV, and I'm watching Newsmax. And when they go on to commercial, I'm watching CNN. And then when they go to commercial, I'm watching Fox. And then when they go to commercial, I'm watching MSNBC. Then when they go to commercial, I'm back to Newsmax, and same thing over and over and over again, because I want to hear what all sides are saying. And I think there's a great majority of Americans who, whenever the opposite side is being played, they're like, I'm not supposed to see this. I'm not supposed to hear this. I'm only supposed to go off of the talking points that have been emailed to me. And when you cut on these different channels and these different programs, you see everybody saying the exact same words, the exact same phrases, because those are the things that's going to support the narrative that they already agree with. I have no interest in echo chambers. I want to hear the truth. And right now, what I'm seeing is this young lady that's talking to Byron Donalds from CNN, she can care less about the truth. She just want him to say something that's going to give her some not street cred, but she want her channel to do well. She want that viral moment of her destroying Byron Donalds. And unfortunately, she's not getting it because he's handing her ass on a plate, and she can't see it.
Hey, he had her stuttering. It was wonderful.
I'll give you a quick boxing analogy. Okay, in boxing, you want to watch film on your opponent to know what they do and when they do it in order to have an advantage. If I go into a fight cold and I don't know what this person's going to do in what situation, I'm going to get mine handed to me. Okay. Well, it's the same thing. Liberals like to act like they know everything, but they don't pay attention. They don't listen to the other side. The difference between conservatives is that, I'll listen and I'll watch CNN so I know what you do, what you're going to say, what you talk about,
That's
and
right.
have something for it. Not just spew the talking points that are handed to me, and I don't know. They keep saying, "Oh, he was convicted by a jury of his peers." Really? That's like, I'm sorry, that's like me getting convicted of a jury of my peers in 1950s Alabama. Okay, really? I ain't getting the fair. I didn't see anybody on those juries that looked like me. So, okay, it's the same thing. They did it in New York for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
I like
Congressman.
Well, and the bigger.
Oh, my bad. Wally was about to say something. What you say, Wally?
no. I was just going by what that's the guy said. I like your boxing analogy, but I always like to say, remember what Mike Tyson says. Everybody has a plan until you get
They
hit.
get punched in the mouth.
They get punched in the mouth. And that's where they are right now, bro.
It's striking to me that this conversation about the family, about who is the recipient of government benefits, about who was affected by Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society, why is it that conversation only happens to Black people? When white people are on welfare, when white people are recipients of these programs too, when white people have broken families as well, why is this a message that is always directed at Black Americans?
You need to ask that damn question to Joe Biden, because when Joe Biden was speaking at Morehouse University, he was saying that Black people are 10 steps behind. You got to work 10 times as hard. It's unfortunate that you have to work so hard for a country that don't love you. How come he is separating it? How come he is pandering in front of Howard University? How come he is pandering in front of Morehouse? How come he right now is figuring out, hold up. So you mean to tell me that I'm losing because immigration is actually important? You know what? Let's do what Trump said do in the original. No Democrat has ever done what Trump is introducing. Well, I'm going to do it because I want to win. That's called pandering. That's called not giving a damn about the country. But when it serves him, now it's important to him. That's BS, if you ask me.
Well,
Absolutely.
and frankly, that whole executive order is BS.
It is very
Because
much.
although it looks like the Trump policies, it is not the Trump policies. Trump actually had a remain in Mexico policy. Anybody who showed up for asylum had to remain in the country that they came from unless they arrived at an aerial port of entry, so that everybody had to remain in Mexico. And realize that Biden's executive order is exactly the same as the failed, quote, bipartisan border bill that the House circular filed after 3 minutes of review. Because when you look at Biden's executive order, he does not shut down the border until an average of 2,500 people cross a day. But that does not include the 1,500 people who fill out the CBP app on their phone, show up at a port of entry and say, I want asylum. They get let into the country. It does not include the 30,000 people a month that Biden is flying into the country from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and other sundry places that are handpicked from prisons and insane asylums that their countries are getting rid of. And it does not include unaccompanied minors at all. So now you're looking at 2,500 plus 2,500 plus unaccompanied minors. He doesn't shut down the border under his quote unquote executive order until 5,000 people cross a day on average.
Ooh.
So it's a complete fraud. It's absolute disinformation.
Where's Kamala Harris in all of this?
$1.825 million a year.
We're being replaced. We've been replaced.
My question is, where's the root cause analysis that Kamala Harris has been working on all these years?
That's a great question, bro. Anybody have an answer to that?
Climate change. That's what we said. That's the reason why they're coming here. Climate change.
Don't come.
Just a report.
The only thing I can think of is, what is the direct correlation with sleeping with your boss and getting elected to higher office?
Wow. Well, I guess you get a leg up.
She had both legs up.
Hey, shout out to Fonnie Willis. Shout out to Fonnie Willis.
No, but what kills me is that the way that they went about their job. They said, "Hey, just don't come, don't come." That's like telling the cat that's about to whack your glass off the counter, like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And the cat's like, "Yeah, right."
I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm probably a little bit older than most of you guys. But back in the early '80s, there was this thing called the Mariel Boat Lift in South Florida. That's where I used to live when I grew up. And Castro emptied all his prisons, all his asylums, and sent everybody to southern Florida. And that's all they're doing right now is they're getting the worst of the worst people to come here, and crime is spiking, the murder rate's spiking, everything is going crazy. And no one seems to have a focus on what's going on. This is all about pandering, like Van said. This is all about, it's not at all. Whenever the Democrats name a bill, it's never what it's supposed to be. You know, freedom. It's the Patriot Act. Yeah, the Build Back Better bill. No, it's all the exact opposite.
Build back worse.
It is always the opposite of what they say it is.
Always the opposite. And before. Go ahead. Well, 1 second. Before you guys, so that you guys understand, the panel that y'all are seeing are some amazing individuals with their own YouTube channels, and they are all killing it in their own right. There's some remarkable human beings, and I did not call up a group of conservative thinking people. These are all independent-minded individuals who have their own way of thinking, and it's absolutely phenomenal. That's why they're up here speaking.
I forgot what I was going to say. So
me too. All right, so no Diddy. All right, so let me go ahead and play a little bit more of this. Feel free to interject whenever y'all want, guys, and then we're going to end this and get to our coaching session.
I didn't say that at all. I think that's what you're insinuating. But let me.
I mean, that's what you did. You were trying to recruit black voters
Abby,
for
if you're
President Trump.
am I allowed to answer the question? Let me step into that. Okay, a couple of things. Yes, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, if you look at the empirical data, was destructive in part, and I said even in my comments yesterday in Philadelphia, in part to black families throughout the United States of America. You also had some of the very damaging policies around the criminal justice system. The 94 crime bill, which was authored by Joe Biden and brought by Joe Biden. Yes, you had the war on drugs that was also very damaging to black communities. All those things have contributed to that. And where we are today in America is trying to have the economic policies and the public policies so that all people can thrive. And if you're actually going to compare economic policies and public policies between the 45th president and the 46th president, it's without question they were better under the 45th.
Well, hey, I want y'all to see something. Look at her face as soon as he started saying that. She started reading her response. She's not listening. Somebody said this before. I think it was Lisa Marie in the comment section. She says that she's not listening to learn anything. She's just listening to respond because she looks at this as an equal debate. She is not intellectually matched with this gentleman. No. But I will say this, at least she's a beautiful little chocolate thing on her own show on CNN. And I give her credit for being that. But at the end of the day, she has a job to do. We got to keep it a buck. She has a job to do. And if she allowed this man to walk over her on her own channel, her job could be in jeopardy. Just like when Vivek went on CNN and he crushed Don Lemon. Y'all saw what happened. He lost his job. It just is what it is.
Did anybody ever remember the movie Strange Days? Ray Fiennes, Angela Bassett. There was a scene where she's talking and they're having an argument, and she looked at him and she said, "Now don't just be using the time that I'm talking to think about what you're going to say next." Okay.
Well, that's exactly what she's doing.
That's just what she did. She's just waiting for her chance. She ain't listening to a word.
Well, and she also has somebody in her ear telling her also, make sure she's got her little earpiece also, and they're saying, don't forget this, to say that. It's not just notes she has.
That's right. That's That's right, man. It's unfortunate, but she's missing an opportunity to actually learn something, man.
And if you're actually going to compare economic policies and public
Look at her
policies
face.
between the 45th president and the 46th president, it's without question they were better under the 45th.
Well, look, I
So
mean,
if you're going to examine
Congressman,
today,
the
hold on,
black
but Abby, if you're going to
unemployment rate was the
examine today
lowest-
in America and
Again,
where
I'm gonna
we're
interrupt
going
you
as
on the-
Americans,
I'm gonna
then
interrupt
you
you
have
on
to
the
have the right
facts,
set of economic
Congressman.
policies and the right set of public
Black
policies.
unemployment.
So what facts are she trying to interject on? What did he say that was a lie? I mean, I'm asking.
She doesn't have any facts.
See, and that's the thing that they always do too. They always say, "Oh, I have the facts, you don't." Really? And you haven't even listened to what I said. Okay? You didn't know, you didn't hear. Could you repeat what I just said? No, you couldn't because you weren't listening. I could have just given you the facts. Okay?
That's right.
Well, and usually the facts that they come up with aren't facts at all. They're absolute fallacies.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been married to that woman.
Hey, we are not going to woman bash here.
No, I'm just saying I've been married to someone
Women on
just
the
like
call,
her.
that's the guy.
Well, she started the conversation by saying, how dare you always direct this destruction of the family against Black Americans? What about white Americans? Well, if you go back and you look at the beginning of LBJ's Great Society, when they incentivized single women, women in general, to divorce the father and marry the government, they did it in predominantly Black communities. When that started, Black father absence was at somewhere between 20 and 25%. It was lower than white father absence, which was around 30%. In the 40 years, 50 years that have followed, Black father absence has spiked to over 75%. Guess what? Whites didn't go down. It's up to nearly 40 or 45%. We're all going in the same direction. The fact that it predominantly hit the Black family was because that's where LBJ and the Democrat Party sent their social workers. They didn't send them to predominantly white neighborhoods in the beginning. They sent them to predominantly Black neighborhoods. And so they got the brunt of this nonsense. Just like when you look at Planned Parenthood clinics, they are predominantly in Black neighborhoods. And they have them in white neighborhoods, sure, but by percentage, 2/3 of them are in Black neighborhoods. And so it's how you do things and where you do things. But still, the LBJ policy radically drives father absence in all communities. It's just that the Blacks got hamstrung by the fact that it went there first.
All right. So first of all, Chris and Oscar, please remember this is my show. You cannot out talk me on and make more sense on my show than I make. Please.
I apologize.
Sorry.
If you wouldn't mind, if you have like a great point to make, text it to me. Let me make it first. and then make your point.
Hey, Dan, I was wondering if you could ask some questions because you're really good at that.
Hey, but Dan,
why you gonna do that to me?
That your coaching works. It just shows,
Y'all are awesome, man. Let me finish this conversation so we get to the to what we came here for. And I apologize to you guys for being in the middle of a conversation when y'all came. I'm just trying to finish up this live stream. Hopefully y'all are learning something from this live stream.
No, this is class.
I bet.
I mean, Abby, you've been interrupting me the entire interview. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
I'm going to interrupt you on the facts, Congressman. The Black unemployment rate was the lowest in American history under Joe Biden.
Anybody want to inject on that? Interject.
What? Absolute lie.
Oh my
God.
Yo. Hey, but here's the funny part. This is what they're feeding people on the left, and they are believing it. They're eating it up. They're like, well, she said it. It must be true.
2 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 2 is 5.
It is 5. She said.
Yeah, I hear them continuing to make this point, but what does it matter if you can't afford food? Even if it was true, like people need to eat.
Yeah, we have more jobs. Okay, we've all got a side hustle now. Why? Because we have to. Okay, we have to.
Wow, man.
Just last year, the poverty rate for Black people is the lowest under Joe Biden. So you cannot say empirically for Black people that from a financial level, things were better under Trump. There are other ways that you can make this case, but you cannot say that.
Yes.
Actually, let me respond to that because the economic.
You think she's going to interrupt?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, who wants
There's a
money?
great
Who wants to put money
possibility.
on it? Okay, how long? How long is it going to take her though? Is he going to get like 2 sentences in, or you know,
three words.
Economic reality is that even though unemployment might be lower, wages adjusted for inflation, which is the true measure of getting ahead
Fair
in
enough.
America, that has been bad under Joe Biden. It was significantly better under Donald Trump because we did not have massive inflation and people were making more money, which means you're taking more money home, which means you can begin to prepare for your family, which means you can start to prepare and begin thinking about ideas of getting assets, accumulating assets, and generating wealth. Joe Biden's economy, Bidenomics, like he likes to call it, I know they don't using the word anymore, that's been destructive of so many families in our country, including black families in our country. That is the empirical economic fact
I
that
think,
we have to acknowledge before this election
inflation,
cycle.
I 100% agree with you, is a problem for all families, including maybe even especially black families. But you also cannot ignore that there are a lot of statistics that suggest that black Americans are doing well under Joe Biden, better than they were doing under Donald Trump. I want to ask you one last thing, because I know that this is actually happening as we're talking. We've learned that you are on the list, obviously, for VP candidates, and that you've received some vetting materials from the Trump campaign to be potentially a VP. Can you confirm that? And is there anything more you can tell us about how that process is going?
Well, I'm not going to confirm that right now. I had a conversation with the Trump campaign about that, and I'm going to leave that very private because they're going to go through their deliberations. President Trump's going to make a decision. I will say prices in America have been up over 20% since Joe Biden has taken office. That's hurting everybody. When prices are up 20%, trust me, Abby, going to the supermarket, going to the gas station, everybody is struggling. That is a fact. And that is why so many Americans, especially Americans who are minorities in this country, are leaving Joe Biden and the Democrats and looking towards Donald Trump and the Republicans.
All right, Congressman Byron Donalds, we appreciate you.
He destroyed you. He destroyed her.
I love the way he ended that. That was awesome. He was like, and by the way, let's pivot back.
I know, right? She tried to divert the conversation to the VP. Well, how is that process going? He was like, yeah, but 20% higher. Yeah. So that is affecting families. He was like, oh, you're not going to get that with me helpful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thank y'all so much for participating. I really appreciate it. For everyone that's inside the comment section, y'all are absolutely amazing for showing up, for being a part of this live stream. As I said before, the only price of admission for my live streams is for you to hit that like button, for you to put, if you're feeling extra generous, go to the share button below the video. Share these videos on X and Facebook. That will be greatly appreciated. And for all of my blues, thank you so much. Lisa Marie, 00101BE, Renee, Angel, and if I missed anybody, charge that to my mind, not my heart. Thanks again for showing up to my live stream. I really appreciate it. And for all of my panelists, I appreciate you too. I will see you guys next time. And before I go, I want to say, reach out to me with the word coach if you want some information on how to start or grow your YouTube channel. Again, y'all have been absolutely amazing. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.